Considering our pal Peter Parker idolizes members of the Avengers more than even the most passionate of fanboys, it seems needlessly harsh that he so often has his life completely sabotaged by them. The rule is never meet your heroes, kids. They'll always let you down. It's not that the team of superheroes is always actively trying to ruin Peter's life, but it certainly feels that way sometimes. Spider-Man has a habit of accidentally getting stuck in the thick of it, and the Avengers, who are generally the people trying to stop any sort of elaborate shenanigans that are afoot, are left trying to sort the situation as quickly as possible. More often than not though, this leaves them awkwardly tangled up in both Spider-Man's superhero career and his private life, leading to all sorts of genuinely awful scenarios. But hey, at least they're generally not trying to eat him. Generally, anyway. I'm Josh from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 times the Avengers ruined Peter Parker's life. Number 10, picking on him for having dreams. Avenging Spider-Man, number 5. Compared to getting him to fight the Hulk, harassing him to become an Avenger, or even almost eating him that one time, the Avengers putting Peter down isn't all that much of a big deal. But at the same time, it does seem weird that Earth's mightiest heroes spend so much time dunking on Spidey for the most innocuous things in the world, especially when they're a pretty eccentric bunch themselves. A prime example of this can be found in Avenging Spider-Man 5, where Spider-Man discovers that Captain America used to love drawing and tries to encourage him to get back into it, because, as we've established, he's a goddamn lovely lad. The good Captain doesn't buy it though, and eventually reveals the reason he left the hobby in the dust, namely because he considers it something the dorky, weak version of him used to do. Naturally, this upsets Peter, who still perceives himself to be the kind of person that Steve berates in his speech. Though Cap eventually realizes the error of his ways and takes back his words, it's made especially clear here that the Avengers often forget just how much Spider-Man idolizes them and their opinions, and just how often they belittle their impressionable young teammate. Just let the dude live, guys. He's trying to be the best person he could possibly be, and you're not helping. Number 9, almost accidentally revealing his secret identity. Ultimate Spider-Man number 151. There are a few moments that better represent Iron Man's shortcomings than the guy rocking up on Peter Parker's lawn and then asking Aunt May where he is for training, having completely forgotten the minor detail of Parker having spent years carefully cultivating a secret identity. It's almost amazing that the hero can be both a super genius and yet also be as dense as the armor he wears. It's not purposefully malicious, of course, as when it's brought to Tony's attention that he is single-handedly sabotaging Spider-Man's life better than any supervillain, he immediately pretends he was asking May for directions and then flies away with his tail tucked between his legs. But still, having your life almost ruined by accident is still almost having your life ruined, and as such, Peter is understandably furious at his new mentor, right up until he offers to buy Aunt May a new car to make up for everything, of course, because when in doubt, throw money at the problem. Number 8, letting him get kidnapped. Ultimate 6, number 4 to 5. Imagine this theoretical scenario just for a second. You are one of the Avengers. I know, I've already lost you. Anyway, say you've recently discovered that a bunch of costumed criminals have escaped from jail yet again, the most dangerous of which are all enemies of Spider-Man. Now here's where the quiz comes in. Do you A, make sure the team is guarded by a superhero capable of actually protecting him? B, have all the Avengers watch over him because, you know, these villains are definitely going to attack him? Or C, leave him with a bunch of random regular humans and pretend to be surprised at the fact when he is kidnapped? If you chose C, then congratulations, you could actually be an Avenger, as the whole team leaves Peter under the protection of S.H.I.E.L.D., which sounds great until you realize that they can be knocked out pretty easily, leaving Spidey a sitting duck for his enemies to nab, which they totally did. Number 7, trying to murder him. Avengers number 11. It's an official fact that 9 times out of 10 anyway, any superhero that appears to have turned evil is either mind-controlled, a Skrull, or a robot replica of themselves. In Avengers number 11, Spider-Man gets the third treatment and is briefly replaced by an evil cyborg made by Kang. While you'd presume that the Avengers would anticipate that this new evil Spider-Man wasn't the real deal, they instead seem unironically delighted to get a chance to beat down on their former ally, with literally every single hero remarking at how excited they were to fight their new arachnid enemy. Mercifully, Spider-Man doesn't seem all that stressed out about the fact that all of the Avengers just tried to kill him though, and everyone laughs the whole thing off by the end of the issue, although it's more likely that the Avengers' repeated statements about having never trusted Spider-Man probably lingered with the hero for a good while afterwards. Number 6, asking him to get beat up by the Hulk. Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 3. As far as good plans go, the Avengers' decision to send Peter Parker to retrieve a missing Hulk is at the absolute bottom of the barrel. While the team tells Spidey that he does just need to lead the Beast back to their base, they totally fail to recognize that this would involve Spider-Man leading the green creature into the path of innocent civilians, meaning that the hero is more or less cursed to try and defeat the Titan before web-slinging him back to his old team. But when Spider-Man encounters the Hulk, he is instead left upset at how the Avengers have treated a creature who clearly needs help and is not in a sound frame of mind. Powered by this, he returns to the Avengers and lies, saying he simply couldn't fight a giant neon green giant that his Spidey senses would have definitely led him straight to. It's revealed at the very end of the comic that the Avengers were also seeking the Hulk to try and help him, which makes it seem all the stranger that they literally never mentioned this to Peter. Why are they like this? Why don't they just treat him like he's an actual person worthy of information that might not get him killed? I'm just saying. Number 5, making him fear superhero teams. X-Men number 27. X-Men number 27 proves that, for at least a good while, Spider-Man was legitimately traumatized by his experiences with the Avengers. That's because when the X-Men try to come and recruit the web-slinging comrade into their team, he immediately freaks out, states that his previously mentioned experience where the Avengers made him fight the Hulk has made him skeptical of superhero teams in general, and then flees as quickly as his webs will carry him. Although the X-Men remark on how weird this is, it seems fairly reasonable that Peter doesn't want to reenact the whole enrolling process again, especially when it may leave him fighting Colossus or Wolverine to actually get in. When the guy who fights nightmarish villains on the daily is freaked out by the Avengers, you know the experience was well and truly traumatic for the poor Spider dude. And you know what? After all this list, I absolutely do not blame the guy. Number 4, hiring his biggest enemy. Thunderbolts number 112. When the Avengers decided to hire the Thunderbolts, a bunch of semi-reformed Marvel criminals, and tasked them with fighting and beating the new Avengers, it felt more than a little sketchy as a heroic decision. Add in that one of these villains was none other than Matt Gargan, the current Venom at the time, and things felt even more nefarious. With Gargan still being one of Spider-Man's major enemies, it also felt more than a little cold for the team to hire and help him, without even sending Spidey a courtesy text to let him know what the hell was going on. This is doubly true when the work that the team does makes Gargan give in to the symbiote entirely, turning him into an animalistic beast that Spider-Man would then eventually have to clean up, unaware that the Avengers were in no small part responsible for Mac's breakdown. Again, good going, guys. While it would be foolish to expect better from Gargan, you would assume that the likes of Captain America and Iron Man were better than hiring unstable serial killers, and then unleashing them upon society when they're done with them. Spider-Man has to clean up a lot of messes, but clearing up messes caused by other heroes seems like an entirely worse matter. Number 3, not being able to recognize his worst enemy in Spider-Man's body. Superior Spider-Man number 7. When Otto Octavius took over Peter Parker's body and then killed him off, many fans expected that the Avengers would immediately recognize that their beloved youngest member had been replaced by a man who acts and behaves entirely different, which made it feel pretty awful then when they did some basic tests and then decided that, yep, Spider-Man was definitely still Peter Parker. Almost excusable, it has to be remembered that at this point the Avengers are supposed to be quite close to Peter, or at the very least aware that he wouldn't just suddenly become a totally different person in every single way. Some mates they are. Similarly, in a profession where being mind-controlled or outright replaced is exceedingly common, it seems super awful that, after checking Spider-Man isn't a Skrull, they just decide he must be totally fine, even though he literally just murdered someone in cold blood like 5 minutes ago. Number 2, making him reveal his secret identity. Civil War. Initially, having Peter reveal his secret identity in Civil War seems like the smartest idea Iron Man and his faction of Avengers could have actually made. After all, as the youngest superhero they have on their roster and the one who has protected his identity most fiercely, it makes the most sense from a political standpoint to have Spider-Man be the first hero to publicly reveal himself. But really, this decision lands the hero in some insanely hot water. Not only does it place Parker's family in huge danger, which was, if you recall, the entire reason that he decided to put on a mask in the first place, but it also means that he's now unable to escape the media spotlight placed upon him. This proves all too dangerous when Aunt May gets shot shot at the end of Civil War: The Amazing Spider-Man due to Peter's secret identity now being public knowledge. While this is all well and good for billionaire Tony Stark, as he has enough money that he could buy himself privacy whenever he needed to, life for the comparatively ordinary Parker could have been permanently ruined due to this publicity stunt. Number 1, trying to eat him alive. Spider Island number 2. It's something of an unspoken rule that if you're allies with someone, you've unofficially agreed to not try and eat them at the nearest possible opportunity. Yes, I've teased this all the way through this video, but that rule was broken in the Secret War spin-off series named Spider Island, where we saw our favorite arachnid hero almost get his face ripped off by mutated versions of the Avengers. Sure, they were messed up spider folk at the time, but it still had to suck for Peter to look at his allies afterwards and remember their mandibles being inches away from tearing his goddamn throat out. After all, begrudgingly eating your old friend is still, like we said before, eating your old friend. So the Avengers are lucky that Parker possesses an incredible ability to forgive and forget. I hope Tony at least bought him a car as an apology, then him and Aunt May can drive around the block and forget about the time he was almost eaten. So that's our list. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are there any moments I missed off here? And while you're down there, could you give us a like, share, subscribe, and head over to whatculture.com for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't though, I've been Josh. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.